She's the eternal queen of rock and roll, a trailblazer who broke the rules, rewrote the playbook, and never looked back. Joan Jett isn't just a legend. She's a living anthem of rebellion, resilience, and raw talent. In 2025, she's still turning heads and turning up the volume. But behind the leather jacket and iconic guitar lies a lifestyle that few get to see. From her relationships and private retreats to her sleek rides and rising net worth, Joan Jett's world is as bold and unapologetic as her music. Ready to step backstage? Joan Jett carved her name into the granite walls of rock history, not with glitter or gloss, but with a black leather jacket, a snarling guitar, and a take-no-prisoners attitude. As the frontwoman of Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, she didn't just enter the male-dominated rock scene. She bulldozed her way through it with the now iconic anthem, "I Love Rock and Roll." That track didn't just chart, it dominated, sitting atop the Billboard Hot 100 for 7 defiant weeks, blaring from jukeboxes and radios like a rallying cry for every outsider who didn't quite fit the mold. She emerged from the embers of the all-female rock group The Runaways, a band that shocked, divided, and ultimately redefined what it meant to be young and rebellious in the 70s. When the industry turned a cold shoulder, telling her she'd never make it without conforming, Joan shrugged, started her own record label, and made herself anyway. Nicknames like the Queen of Rock and Roll and the Godmother of Punk weren't given lightly. They're earned titles, forged from decades of grit, independence, and an unshakable sense of self. Outside the stage lights, Joan also proved herself as a songwriter, producer, and occasional actress, always keeping her creative edge sharp. Today, with a net worth of $10 million, Joan Jett remains as fierce and unapologetic as ever. Joan Jett wasn't always a rock icon. Born Joan Marie Larkin on September 22, 1958, in Wynwood, Pennsylvania, she was the eldest of 3 kids in a middle-class household. Her dad sold insurance, her mom worked as a secretary, and the family moved often, first to Rockville, Maryland, where a young Joan picked up her first guitar. She started lessons, but the instructor tried to push her into playing folk songs instead of rock. That was short-lived. She quit the lessons but never quit the instrument. A move to West Covina, California set the stage for something bigger. Her parents split not long after, and Joan took that moment to ditch her birth name and reinvent herself as Joan Jett. A name that rang with the kind of grit and swagger rock and roll demands. It wasn't just a change of name, it was a declaration of intent. At just 16, Jett co-founded The Runaways with drummer Sandy West, soon joined by Mickey Steele, Jackie Fox, Cherie Currie, and Lita Ford. The all-female rock band broke boundaries before they even stepped on a stage. Jett played rhythm guitar, shared lead vocals, and was the driving force behind much of the group's songwriting. The Runaways weren't just a novelty. They had real firepower, opening for heavyweights like Tom Petty and Cheap Trick. But while America was slow to catch on, the UK and Japan couldn't get enough of their raw energy and rebellious presence. 5 albums in, the group imploded by 1979, and Jett was left to find her next move. That move came fast. Joan went solo, heading to England to record a few tracks, including an early version of I Love Rock and Roll. It didn't catch on yet, but it was a sign of what was to come. Back in Los Angeles, she linked up with producer Kenny Laguna while working on a film about the Runaways. The chemistry was instant, and together they launched her first solo album in 1980 on their own label after being turned down by nearly 24 record companies. Major labels weren't interested in a woman leading a hard rock band, so she did it herself. Still, Joan missed being part of a band. She placed a humble newspaper ad, looking for musicians to back her up. Out of that came Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. The early days were rough, scraping by on the road and playing half-empty clubs. But everything changed with a New York City performance at the Palladium in 1981. From there, momentum built fast. That same year, the band released their breakout album. Its first single? A re-recorded, full-throttle version of I Love Rock and Roll. This time, it exploded. The song didn't just top the charts, it burned its way into music history, eventually earning a place in the Grammy Hall of Fame and securing a spot as the 56th greatest song of all time on Billboard's all-time chart. Riding the wave of her breakout anthem, Joan Jett didn't hit cruise control. She slammed the pedal down. In 1983, she and the Blackhearts followed up with Album, and by 1984, glorious results of A Misspent Youth proved they weren't about to fizzle out. The band wasn't just charting hits like Bad Reputation and I'm Gonna Run Away, they were out on the road, selling out arenas shoulder to shoulder with rock royalty. Sharing stages with acts like The Police and Aerosmith, Jett cemented her status as not just a chart-topping force, but a live juggernaut who could hold her own in any stadium around the world. Unlike many rock bands that fade with time, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts never really stopped. They kept creating, kept performing, and kept pushing forward. In 2013, they dropped Unvarnished, proving the fire was still burning bright. 2 years later, in 2015, they opened for The Who, a nod. From one generation of legends to another, even decades into their journey, Joan and her band kept sharing the stage with icons, joining Poison and Def Leppard on the 2021 tour roster, ready to remind fans what real rock sounds like. But Jett didn't confine her talents to the stage. Offstage, she stepped into the producer's chair, helping shape the sound of other artists. Her influence even extended to Hollywood. She served as executive producer for The Runaways, the gritty biopic starring Kristen Stewart as a younger Jett navigating the chaos of her first band's rise and fall. Her music has also become part of the DNA of American sports. Whether it's the NCAA, WWE, UFC, or the X Games, Jett's songs have blasted through speakers to fire up fans and athletes alike. I Hate Myself for Loving You even became the theme for NBC's Sunday Night Football, ensuring that her sound is part of millions of households every week during football season. As if that weren't enough, Jett has had her fair share of screen time. She made her film debut in 1987's Light of Day, holding her own alongside Michael J. Fox and Gena Rowlands. Over the years, she popped up in fan-favorite TV shows like Ellen, Highlander, The Series, Walker, Texas Ranger, and Law & Order: Criminal Intent. And in 2018, she became the focus of her own documentary, Bad Reputation, a raw and personal look at the woman behind the black leather and power chords. Recognition from the industry followed. Rolling Stone ranked her among the 100 greatest guitarists of all time, a rare honor for any artist, let alone a female rocker in a male-dominated scene. In 2014, she received the AP Icon Award, and just 1 year later, she was officially inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, a well-earned crown for the Queen of Rock and Roll. When Joan Jett isn't commanding the stage with her signature snarl and guitar riffs that defined rock and roll for a generation, she retreats to something entirely different, but just as striking. Her mansion in Long Beach, New York reflects a life lived loudly and unapologetically, while offering a sanctuary of style, luxury, and modern comfort. Listed at $4 million, this seaside stunner isn't just a home. It's an extension of Jett's iconic personality, bold, sleek, and effortlessly cool. From the moment you enter, the house makes a statement as clear and powerful as one of her chords. A dramatic two-story great room floods with sunlight, thanks to retractable glass walls that dissolve the barrier between indoors and outdoors. It's a space that doesn't just invite you in, it pulls you into its rhythm. Whether it's an intimate gathering or a full-on bash, this home was built for entertaining, for living out loud. With 4 to 5 bedrooms tucked into its design, the home balances function and flair. There's room for creativity, for rest, and for rocking out. A game and media room becomes the perfect after-show hangout, while a custom office provides a quiet corner for writing lyrics or simply reflecting. There's even a full-sized fitness center because staying stage-ready doesn't take days off. Upstairs, the master suite feels like its own retreat. Wake up to sweeping water views, then drift into the spa-inspired bathroom with its soaking tub and clean, calming lines. It's the kind of space that turns unwinding into a ritual. For guests, there's a private first-floor suite, because even the people who get to stay here need their own slice of serenity. Step outside, and the home's energy continues in full force. Joan Jett's backyard isn't just a yard, it's a vibe. The views stretch endlessly over the Atlantic, with sunrises and sunsets that seem to have been handpicked for someone who's spent a life chasing the perfect moment. A private spa, a fire pit lounge, and a sleek outdoor grilling area make it feel like a year-round vacation. Whether she's hosting friends, industry insiders, or just enjoying a rare day off, the backyard plays its part perfectly. And while the rock and roll spirit might be rooted in the analog world, this house is fully digital. Smart tech is woven throughout, from remote-controlled lighting to automated shades, and a whole-home Sonos sound system that's concert-ready at the touch of a button. Every corner has been designed with both ease and sophistication in mind. The kitchen is a showstopper in its own right. Think double waterfall islands, a walk-in pantry, and a beverage center that could rival a backstage VIP lounge. It's sleek, it's functional, and it's ready for anything from a quiet breakfast to a full-blown dinner party with music legends. And it gets better. Sustainability is no afterthought. It's part of the design DNA. Solar energy capability, dual-pane Fleetwood windows, dual HVAC systems, and tankless water heaters all contribute to an eco-conscious lifestyle without giving up a shred of luxury. There's even electric vehicle charging and high-end porcelain flooring that's both durable and refined. Outside, security and convenience take center stage with a gated parking area fit for up to 6 vehicles, including a 2-car garage. It's clear that everything, down to the last detail, has been thought through with intention. Just like Jett's music. The structure pulses with personality, yet it's engineered for privacy, comfort, and ease. Joan Jett's Long Beach mansion isn't a rock star's fantasy, it's her reality. A home where edge meets elegance, where every square foot hums with modernity, comfort, and just enough rebellion to keep it interesting. It's a place that reflects the woman who lives in it, timeless, unapologetic, and unforgettable. Joan Jett's taste in cars is as bold, distinctive, and iconic as her music. She doesn't just drive. She cruises through time in machines that echo her fierce independence and unapologetic edge. First up, there's the 2011 Cadillac DTS, a full-size American luxury sedan that's as smooth and commanding as a power ballad. This car doesn't shout for attention. It asserts itself with quiet confidence. Beneath its stately exterior lies a 4.6-liter Northstar V8, a power plant that hums with authority. The DTS delivers a ride so smooth it feels like the road is doing the work for you, not to mention its plush leather seats, premium Bose sound system, and all the trimmings you'd expect from a Cadillac. This is Joan's nod to American luxury. Classic, comfortable, but never boring. It's a car for long hauls, night drives, and the kind of solitude only the open road can offer. Then there's the undisputed rebel in the garage, a first-generation Ford Mustang, born in 1964 and raised on horsepower and attitude. This car isn't just vintage, it's legendary. The original Mustang was a revolution on wheels, and for Joan Jett, it fits like a leather jacket and a loud amp. With its muscular V8 engine, options, aggressive styling, and undeniable cool factor, the Mustang is the four-wheeled equivalent of a guitar riff that hits you right in the chest. Whether she's cruising through LA or blasting down a desert highway, this machine is pure, untamed energy. Just like her. But rock icons don't live on muscle alone. and Joan Jett's collection rounds out with a refined edge. The 1996 Jaguar XJS. It's a car that trades brute force for subtle seduction. Sleek lines, a long hood, and a low, elegant stance. It's the kind of car that doesn't need to try hard to make an impression. Under the hood, you've got either a 4.0-liter inline-six or a monstrous 6.0-liter V12, paired with smooth handling that whispers more than it roars. The interior is pure British charm. Wood-trimmed dash, hand-stitched leather, and just enough luxury to remind you this isn't a car, it's a statement. It's a vehicle that carries itself with quiet confidence and refined power, a contrast to the brashness of American muscle, but no less commanding. Each of these cars tells a piece of Joan Jett's story. Joan Jett's brand of rock and roll has always come with a sharp edge, and her activism is no different. Fierce, heartfelt, and uncompromising. Her commitment to animal rights has spanned decades, with her voice and image lending power to campaigns by organizations like PETA. In one of the more offbeat but memorable collaborations, she teamed up with Pizzanista, a Los Angeles pizza joint, and PETA for Valentine's Day 2022, to create a black heart-shaped vegan pizza, equal parts punk rock and plant-based protest. Jett's compassion has often found its way into the darker corners of society, including her work with the surviving members of the Gits, the Seattle punk band devastated by the 1993 rape and murder of lead singer Mia Zapata. Fueled by grief and resolve, Jett joined forces with the band to form Evil Stig, Gits Live spelled backward, and released both an album and a single, Bob, with proceeds going directly to help fund the investigation into Zapata's murder. Their efforts culminated in an appearance on America's Most Wanted, and more than a decade later, justice was served when Jesus Mezquia was convicted of the crime in 2004. That same fierce spirit of solidarity saw Jett take the stage, with Bruce Springsteen at a 9/11 benefit in Red Bank, New Jersey, in October 2001. It was their first ever joint performance, and fittingly, they lit up the night with Light of Day, a song that channels gritty resilience. When she's not turning up amps or fighting for causes, Jett's often got her eyes on the field or the ring. A self-proclaimed sports fanatic, her music has become a mainstay in the sports world. UFC champion Ronda Rousey chose Bad Reputation as her walkout anthem, both in the octagon and in the WWE spotlight. And in 2019, Jett herself shredded that very song live during Rousey's entrance at WrestleMania 35. Her punchy rendition of Love Is All Around, famously known as the Mary Tyler Moore Show theme, caught fire when it was used by the NCAA for their Women's Final Four promos. Despite having no accompanying album, it topped request charts, driven purely by fan demand. Joan's connection to the sports world runs deep. She was personally invited by baseball legend Cal Ripken Jr. to sing the national anthem at the game, where he tied Lou Gehrig's streak for consecutive games played. She also gave Memorial Stadium in Baltimore a final, stirring send-off with her rendition of the anthem. And from 2006 through 2015, Sunday Night Football fans heard her song, I Hate Myself for Loving You, transformed into NBC's weekly theme, Waiting All Day for Sunday Night, belting through TV speakers across the country. Since 2019, Jett's shared the mic with Carrie Underwood for that same football opener, proving she's just as iconic on primetime television as she is in a mosh pit. Despite her opposition to the Iraq War, which led her to support Howard Dean. In the 2004 election, Jett's patriotism and respect for the U.S. Armed Forces have never wavered. She spent over 2 decades performing for troops through USO tours, even taking the stage at the U.S. Military Academy. I don't like war, she said candidly, but I love the military. It's a sentiment that reflects her complex, deeply human approach to activism, always in support of people, no matter the politics. After the Pulse nightclub tragedy, In 2016, which took 49 lives, Jett was the first artist to sign Billboard magazine's open letter on gun violence, calling for universal background checks and decisive legislative action. Her name at the top of that list paved the way for Lady Gaga and nearly 200 other artists and industry figures to add their voices to the cause. Even as recently as 2024, Jett's never been content to sit quietly. She lent her guitar skills to a special re-release of Mark Knopfler's Going Home theme of the local hero, with proceeds benefiting the Teenage Cancer Trust. Whether in the name of justice, compassion, or simply the love of loud music, Joan Jett has made it clear: rock and roll is more than sound, it's action, and she's never stopped taking it. In the world of rock and roll, few artists have their essence captured in an instrument quite like Joan Jett. In 2008, Gibson honored her legacy with the release of the Joan Jett signature melody maker, Guitar, a bold, stripped-down powerhouse that, much like Jett herself, cuts straight to the chase. While modeled after her own ferociously used instrument, this version came with some modern flair. A single burstbucker 3-humbucker pickup designed to deliver pure punch, an ebony fretboard for smooth, dark resonance, and a slick double cutaway. Body in clean white, contrasted by a black vinyl pickguard. Where most guitars might offer a pickup selector, Jett's axe opts for a no-nonsense kill switch instead. Price tag: a cool $830, a modest cost to channel a legend. Then in 2010, Gibson amped up the style with the Blackheart edition of the same guitar. This version kept all the guts and specs of the original, but gave it a darker edge, a black finish with red and pearl heart inlays that echoed both Joan's hard rock aesthetic and the emotional fire behind her music. This wasn't just a guitar, it was attitude in 6 strings and wood. But Gibson wasn't done yet. After 2 years of design collaboration with Jett herself, they unveiled a new model in June 2019, a wine-colored ES339. Sleeker, moodier, and made to sing in smoky tones, this semi-hollow body guitar brought a touch of elegance to Joan's raw, rebellious style. It was less about brute force and more about subtle power, refined, but no less ready to blow the doors off a venue. If you thought Jett's legacy was confined to guitars and records, think again. In 2009, Mattel decided to immortalize her in an entirely different form: a Joan Jett Barbie doll. Yes, that Barbie, complete with her iconic leather jacket, black eyeliner, and punk scowl. Her name and likeness were used with full permission, of course. Far from plastic perfection, this Barbie wore black and brought a guitar instead of a dream house. For girls who preferred amps to accessories, this was the doll they didn't know they'd been waiting for. Joan Jett has always lived by her own code, and it's one that doesn't require explanation or permission. Since the late 1980s, she's embraced a vegetarian lifestyle and aligned herself with animal rights causes, lending her voice to organizations like PETA and practicing what she preaches with a conviction as fierce as her guitar riffs. But when it comes to her personal life, especially the long-whispered questions about her sexuality, Jett has preferred a different stance: ambiguity by design. In a 1994 Out magazine interview, she left things wide open with a punk shrug. "I'm not saying no, I'm not saying yes, I'm saying believe what you want." It was the kind of answer that infuriates headline writers and empowers fans alike. Years later, in 2006, when asked when she'd come out, Jett coolly replied, "I never made any kind of statement about my personal life on any level. I never made any proclamations." And when a 2018 New York Times reporter asked why an LGBTQ film festival turned down her documentary due to her not being out, Jett had a visual response. She pointed to the double Labries necklace hanging around her neck, 2 interlocked axes, a symbol deeply rooted in lesbian culture, and lifted her shirt to reveal a tattoo of interlocking women's symbols on her lower back. "I don't know how much more you can declare," she said. For Joan Jett, silence isn't secrecy, it's sovereignty. Jett has lived in Long Beach, New York since the late 1970s, always a local in her own way. A devoted New York Liberty basketball fan and a loyal Baltimore Orioles supporter, she never traded her East Coast roots for Hollywood sheen, even as her fame exploded. She remains a contradiction in the best sense, public but private, raw but measured, legendary but grounded. But not all chapters of her story are loud with power chords and defiance. Some are painfully quiet and fraught with darkness. In 2015, Jackie Fuchs, known to many as Jackie Fox from The Runaways, came forward with a harrowing accusation. She alleged that on New Year's Eve 1975, at the age of 16, she was raped by the band's manager, Kim Fowley, after being drugged at a party. According to her, the assault took place in full view of others, including fellow Runaways members. Fuchs remembered looking up and seeing Joan Jett and Cherie Currie watching. Carrie Crome, co-founder of the Runaways, later claimed she saw Jett and Currie sitting off to the side of the room for part of the time snickering, a haunting and heartbreaking image. Jett has firmly denied any awareness of the assault, saying, "Anyone who truly knows me understands that if I was aware of a friend or bandmate being violated, I would not stand by while it happened." She added that while she and Fuchs hadn't spoken in decades, she wished her peace and healing. The shadow of this accusation still lingers over the legacy of the Runaways, and the documentary Look Away has further amplified the urgent conversation about abuse in the music industry. Joan Jett's life isn't cleanly packaged. It's complicated, messy, and unapologetically human. She's the punk icon who won't confirm what you want her to confirm, the rock goddess who lets symbols and silence speak louder than labels, and the legend who still refuses to fit the mold others try to place around her. Whether she's shredding an anthem, standing for animal rights, or navigating the stormy waters of legacy and controversy, Joan Jett remains exactly what she's always been: unfiltered, unshakable, and entirely her own.